This week in the parish of bourses and market structure, Reitz Exits EEX, Proxy off the new argument Indian cross-asset competition. My name is Patrick L. Young. Welcome to the Bourse Business Weekly Digest. It's the Exchange Invest Weekly Podcast, episode 328. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very brief reduction of highlights amongst the key headlines from the week in market structure. All the analysis of the many events and happenings from the past 7 days can be found in Exchange Invest Daily Subscriber Newsletter, the unique guide to the Bourse business sent daily to your inbox. More details at exchangeinvest.com. Over in Bit Carnage, no pardons. POTUS has some standards when it comes to crypto persons, it seems. Trump says he has no plans to pardon jailed FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried. If you enjoyed this excerpt, you may be interested to know you can read Bit Carnage every day in Exchange Invest. Alternatively, if you want to follow Bit Carnage, the daily updates on happenings in the world of crypto and digital assets, you can find Bit Carnage as a standalone on Substack. In the world of legacy exchanges, Peter Reitz, the man who should have been DB1 CEO for the past decade, is standing down as CEO of EEX, having taken a modest Leipzig power exchange energy market and turned it into a diverse powerhouse worldwide, just as most of DB1 entered its PowerPoint atrophy period of blobism and seeking protectionist underpinning, as opposed to that old capitalist mojo thing, growth, which has remained the focus of Peter's excellent EEX. And just like that, the Proxy oligopoly is looking DOA, not good for DB1's foolish conflict of interest assets. AI is on the verge of eating a significant fee flow. NSE India is moving into gold markets as NCDEX prepares to compete in stocks and bonds. Saudi Arabia's Tadawul, they're going to be opening financial markets to all foreign investors. Good news, Tadawul is doing many great things, but still needs to quite get together a push on the PRIR and other fronts to be more visible in the broader world. Albeit the regional focus seems to be working as a footprint builds to expand around the planet. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly. We welcome your feedback. You can contact me directly, patrick@derivativesvision.com, with any comments. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this show, we would welcome you giving us a thumbs up. Or if you have time, a positive review will always be welcome, wherever you find this podcast. IGX, the Indian gas exchange, is eyeing a December listing, lining up its expansion, and thus IGX may be spun out of IEX before NSE actually manages an IPO. On that topic, the Indian markets regulator SEBI apparently is ready to clear the way for an NSE listing, albeit where have we heard that before? National Stock Exchange of India at the same time is in talks with IGX on collaboration for developing an Indian natural gas futures contract. Over in Korea, KRX and NXT Consortium, they've won the preliminary nod to run Korea STO, the over-the-counter exchange. Also an interesting development, albeit raises again the question of why the Korean blob has to dictate what markets do, even if they can maintain economic success, unlike, say, the European Union, who also practice this license Raj idiocy. Dow Jones, they've signed a deal with Polymarket to add prediction and market data across their outlets, and of course that comes in the wake of ICE investing up to $2 billion in Polymarket, which we reported in EEI 3395. In new markets, only on the new market deal, we have 24-hour foreign exchange market should be beginning in South Korea in July. Over in deals, not the busiest of weeks. Headline there, TPI Cap, they're buying Vantage Capital Markets, expanding their global broking capabilities. Having failed to deal with the internal Taliban-style structure of their legacy business, TPI Cap is buying more headcount. Don't forget, if you want to see some moving pictures to go with these dulcet tones, there's always the opportunity to catch our IPO-VID live stream. Tuesdays, 5 o'clock London, midday New York time, the IPO video live show. Catch the back episodes on LinkedIn and YouTube via IPO-VID. Now online, we have IPO-VID number 197 BMLL, a new chapter with returning guest Paul Humphreys, the CEO of BMLL. And coming in next week, IPO-VID 198, Nasdaq's blueprint for Europe with their European Supremo, Roland Chai.
Our finance book of the week this week, Infectious Greed, How Deceit and Risk Corrupted the Financial Markets by Frank Partnoy, documenting how new levels of financial risk and complexity was able to obscure sickness in corporate America, and thus Wall Street's evolving paradigm moved farther and farther beyond the understanding of regulation for ordinary investors and government overseers. Product news, NYSE, they're going to be listing US options for benchmark MSCI indexes. Great development there for the IC-NYSE complex. And the Intercontinental Exchange at the same time is extending its trading hours for EU gas and power, while the National Stock Exchange of India lurching into commodity markets, launching trading of electronic gold receipts, NSE getting into NCDEX's turf, just as NCDEX is preparing to move the National Commodity Derivative Exchange into stocks and bonds. Technology news, it's game over for the proxy business perhaps. An SEC official has said investment advisors can use AI for proxy votes. JP Morgan at the same time have ended their ties with proxy advisors and turned to artificial intelligence. There's a mega move here, and DB1's proxy conflict of interest asset ISS looks like a dud. Automating proxies is hardly rocket science, and that disintermediates a curious oligopoly which has long since been past its sell-by date, even before discussing the extent of the conflicts of interest within DB1 operating one in the first place. Cue lots of "be careful who you disintermediate" op-eds. I think the Brussels Bugle had one already, as folks try desperately to prove they add value. Bottom line, they didn't. And it's time to rethink who else we just don't need in the stack. Meanwhile, ISS may have IPO issues ahead. Now it looks as if the sweet spot was last year. The next sweet spot may prove to be never. Cue lots of PowerPoints from the McKinsey management team of DB1 ahead of, I think, panic. Career paths, Tobias Powlin, he's been appointed as the new CEO of EEX, as Peter Reitz chose to depart EEX, having built a titan of market structure. Peter was also our IPO-VID guest on episode number 74, Building Sustainable Commodity Markets Worldwide. I applaud Peter's incredible career and look forward to what I hope will be a further chapter in the parish. SEBI have approved Rishi Nathani's appointment as MD and CEO of MCX's clearing subsidiary, and the Pakistan Stock Exchange has elected Ruhal Mohammed as chairman. Over in Big World, looking at how regime change affects the world post-Maduro in Venezuela, the big kahuna is of course Cuba, with the Havana regime looking ever more of an outlier in a region where some form of capitalism is reigning supreme. Cutting off cheap oil and gas from Venezuela may be a catalyst for change to rid Castro-era student politics forever, but it also then reorients the entire region, as suddenly the tourist draw will be Havana and all other parts, barring presumably Guantanamo Bay, which could grow the Caribbean's economy, but short-term probably sees a massive substitution effect which could suck resources out of the rest of the region. And on that mysterious and magnificent note, thank you for listening to this EI Weekly Podcast number 328. Join us daily via exchangeinvest.com, or if you have a new exchange you would like built, get in touch. My name is Patrick L. Young, and I wish you a great week in life and markets.
This show relates to the business of bourses. It is not to be construed as investment advice, nor are we making any investment recommendations. Please consult an investment advisor before you make any investments, and for goodness sake, do your due diligence and do not make investments without complying with the regulations in your home state. Exchange Invest cannot be held responsible for any investment decisions made as a result of our program, which is for entertainment purposes only. The material herein is copyright Patrick L. Young at the date of publication, while our music and sound effects are sourced from copyright-free sources. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly, the exchange of information.